There's some kind of basement in my hotel room, and I'm on the 15th floor by Mr. Outlaw. My work requires that I often go on business trips. I like the job. I like meeting new people. I like visiting new cities. But for this story, that's neither here nor there. I'd just arrived in Chicago and settled in a place that you could probably call high class. I'd personally never shell out the exorbitant funds required for these sorts of things, but if the company's paying, then I won't complain. One night I'd come back, drunk after a night out with clients. At some point during the AM hours, I went into the bathroom and slipped on some water. Falling into the wall space between the toilet and the shower, I stuck my arm out, but it actually went straight through. I wasn't really sure why such a fancy place would use such a fragile material for their rooms, but this oddity really didn't seem right. The fall wasn't that hard. I couldn't understand how it broke so easily. I stepped back, staring at the gaping, newly formed hole. Now, I wasn't exactly sure how hotels were designed in relation to how much space there is between rooms, but I was under the impression that they were built side by side. If this was the case, then there must have been a hole in my neighbor's closet or something, which was rather concerning. It was late, so I decided to wait until the morning to tell them about it, so they didn't freak out and think I was some weirdo making holes in the walls. Anyway, the morning comes and I knock on their door. They open up and are mostly understanding about what happened. They took a look around their rooms, but there's no hole anywhere. All right, I thought to myself, don't have to worry about anything there. But I still had to tell the front desk or something. I wasn't really prepared to pay for the damages though. I mean, they should just stop being so cheap with their building, you know? However, I decided to put it off until after all my work was done. I come back the following night and I take a look at the hole again. It was really big. Out of curiosity, I took my phone flashlight and shined it through. If this didn't lead to a room, then what was it? Just random space in between? The first thing that I saw was an old-fashioned looking notebook lying around. Interesting, I thought. I reached in and I picked it up, wiping a thin layer of dust off. It wasn't really distinctive looking, just a plain red notebook you could probably buy anywhere. But it was the contents inside that were disconcerting. It was just pages and pages of messily scribbled nonsense. At least that's what I thought at first. There was definitely a pattern in the haphazardous symbols on the page, another language maybe. I didn't know. Occasionally there would also be diagrams. These were easier to understand but still rather cryptic. They looked like detailed outlines of a building. After a few seconds of looking through it, I came to the definitive conclusion that it was the hotel. What caught my eye was the 15th floor, which was labeled more clearly than the others. There was what looked like a staircase descending down from one of the rooms, cutting through the floor below. It didn't really show or describe where it was supposed to lead. The only word at the end of the staircase was Zone CKX9. Now, I'm not sure how many nope situations you've been in before, but this probably fit the bill. Despite that, I kept looking through the hole just in case there was something else there. And there certainly was. With dead candles scattered all around, there appeared to be a trapdoor. My blood kind of froze there. Was I supposed to deduce that it led to a staircase on the 15th floor? Eventually, I just forced myself to laugh at it. I mean, there was no way, right? I made a decision right then and there. I started tearing down the wall some more, just so that I had enough space to crawl through into the hidden room. It really wasn't bigger than a walk-in closet. Unfurnished wooden floors, walls, and ceilings, with that weird trapdoor in the middle. I took a moment, hesitating before opening it. I mean, if there really was a staircase, there was no chance that I was going down it. I reached down and I grabbed the metal handle. I searched around for a lock, but it wasn't there. I finally just lifted it up, not really knowing what to expect. There was only darkness at first, and then I shined my light down. There were stairs. Inexplicably, there were stairs. It shocked me so much that I instinctively closed it. I just sat there for a moment, astounded. I started believing that it was just some weird illusion, and with that in mind, I opened it up again and carefully stuck my hand down. Not a solid surface. There really were stairs. I spent the next few hours trying to figure out what could have been underneath my room. I asked around, I did research, I even went down a floor to see for myself, but everything yielded the same conclusion. It was just supposed to be another room. I knocked on the door of the person that I had mapped out to be right below me, but nobody answered. I even did some research online. No similar experiences to mine. In this situation, I did the one thing that I thought was appropriate. I went to my coworker Jacob's room and I told him about it. At first, he was a bit bothered that I was knocking on his door at 1 a.m., but I knew that he'd be interested in this. He was one of those brash, paranormal aficionado guys. It was a bit annoying at times, but I'd say that we were friendly enough. After I'd explained the situation to him, he let out a skeptical and somewhat obnoxious laugh. He still elected to come and check it out though. During the walk up, I was slightly concerned that it was going to be one of those situations where it disappears or something. But when we got up to my bathroom, it was still there, still as weird as ever. When I opened it up and revealed the stairs, I could see a look of sheer shock drawn across his face. I doubt he'd actually ever experienced anything paranormal before, despite all the stories that he tells. This was uncharted territory for both of us. We mused on it for a few more hours, deliberating on whether or not to go down. Well, it was actually just Jacob trying to convince me to go down with him. Come on, I remember him telling me. Think of the story. And for whatever reason, he was so adamant about going through with this insane plan. Eventually, I agreed to go down like 10 steps and then come right back up. Just to see what was going on. We opened up our flashlight apps and he went first. As soon as my body descended into whatever this place was, I could feel the atmosphere around me shift. It's hard to explain, but it wasn't like when your ears pop at high altitudes. It was something else. I went down the 10 steps that I'd promised before stopping and analyzed my surroundings. It wasn't like I could see much though. It was just dark. Incomprehensibly dark. I watched as Jacob went further and further down. Are you sure that's a good idea? I said to him. None of this makes any sense. He goes down probably around 8 steps further before turning around to me and saying, Dude, this is crazy. You coming? Forget that, I told him. What kind of place is this? As I say this, his expression drops. What? I asked him. Did you hear that? He responded. I strained my ears, trying to figure out what he was referring to. It was faint at first, but it was there. Water? I couldn't really tell if it sounded more like somebody was sloshing around in ankle-deep water or if they were flat out swimming. But it was extremely far down, causing me to wonder how deep this place was. And then Jacob did the stupidest thing anybody could have done in that scenario. He yells out, Who's there? And in the near, utter silence of this apparently massive room, it echoes. It was quiet after that. Completely quiet. No more movement. Whatever was down here had reacted. What happened next nearly gave me a heart attack. Heavy, wet footsteps began sprinting up the stairs. They were still faint at first, but they gained at an inhuman pace. Jacob and I followed suit, scrambling back up the stairs. We stumbled back into the room, closing the door behind us. As soon as we did this, the footsteps ceased again. But we didn't have peace of mind yet. There was no lock, and the door isn't so heavy. Jacob quickly lugged a coffee table through the washroom, back into the hidden room, and then placed it upside down over the trap door. After that, we just stood there, breathless. We glanced at each other, both of our minds probably on the same page. There were still 3 days on this trip. I didn't really get much sleep that night, even with the bathroom door barricaded. I kind of wish that I'd grabbed the book back there. Maybe I could have analyzed it further, uncovering any possible answers. But for obvious reasons, I don't think going back down there is the best idea right now.